Bound. Welcome. Hello, my friends. If anybody's still there, I hope someone's still there. It looks like the chat says it is, but can you ever really be sure? Welcome, everyone, to Clobberin Times issue number 115 YT, but 815 overall. And I'm very, very pleased to be here, my friends. I think someone's still in there. I can't really tell. Maybe I don't know. Maybe everyone left. I wouldn't blame you. I was a few minutes late. Sorry about that, everyone. I hope you'll all come back. Let's see. Maybe some of you will start coming back in. I hope. Welcome again on this Monday night Mark C Comics Talk, the Clobberin Times. Let's see, I don't know what a few people pop in now. I guess I don't know. It could be just something going weird with YouTube. YouTube has been just crazy lately. So, but I want to welcome everyone who is here. I'm going to just shout everybody out who's made it, of course. First one who popped in, let's see. It's tough to go back. I want to say a big hello to the beautiful and the magnificent Purple Valkyrie. She is just the greatest. Love you, Purple. It is so lovely to see you here tonight, as always. Appreciate you so much, and thank you for being here. And everyone, of course, please, if you have not, you don't know what you're missing. First of all, you got to go check out Purple's fantastic channel that she has with Sammy Joe over there. It is, of course, Rise of the Valkyries, and I'll put a link in there in my thingy there, in the chat thingy right there, and of course, it is in my description below. But I'm going to put one in there anyway. And you are terrific. I love you, Purple. It's so great to see you. As always, had a fantastic time hanging out with you last Monday night for Monday Night Mark C, talking villains, and I hope we will do it again soon. Phantom Outsider popped in early there. Phantom Outsider, it is great to see you here, sir. Phantom Outsider was, man, bagging and boarding comics. I miss those days. I haven't done that in a long time. I miss doing that. That great two fantastic wrenches that wrench great together. The great Eric K and the great Chris Persia are here. Great to see you, my friends. As always, I'm honored to see you pop by my humble channel. As always, friends. The great Steve Mitchum, longtime pal. Good to see you, brother. I'm always appreciate you, bud. Yeah, Phantom Outsiders, that's still the coolest name, dude. It'll always be the coolest name there. Let's see. The great Mark D with a C. You know, I keep forgetting to put the link in my description there. My bad. Mark D with a C. He is just starting a channel. If none of you have checked that out yet, please go subscribe. Let's try to help him there because he just got started. I don't know if I think he still just has the one vid, if I'm not mistaken. But Mark D with a C is a great friend of Clobberin Times. And I am always honored to see you here. We'll get you on here one of these days, bud. I would like to. Parrot Head. Wasting away again in Margaritaville. Looking for that lost. Not last, the lost. Shaker O' Salt. Some people claim that there is a woman to blame. But I know it's my own damn fault. Yeah. So I love that song. Yeah, well, look, I guess it's a big, busy night out there on the streams, everyone. Okay, I don't know what's wrong with this thing. It's glitchy, I guess. I don't know. What's that? Oh, okay. Mark D with a C has a second video there. Excellent. And let's see, show notes. Of course, again, big shout out and thank you as always to my fantastic First Officer Raquel Briggs. And the amazing chat that from other night. Saturday Night Star Trek is just blowing it up there. And it is so much fun. I mean, we just have a blast. Everybody participating. Yeah, I'm glad you caught my Shatnering of the song there, buddy. I can Shatner him, that's for sure. Just that Saturday Night Star Trek that Raquel and I have is just fantastic. I just have so much fun, and I I mean, I hope you in the chat when you're here have as much fun as we do, because we really, really enjoy it, and we really appreciate everyone that's so interactive. There he is, the great Dr. Hercule Monkey. What's up, buddy? Great name. Greatest name ever. But yes, Raquel and I just appreciate you so much for that Saturday Night Star Trek. And as always, this past week had a blast. It's just so much fun. Look forward to it every week. Highlight of my week every week. But then so is this, because Monday Night Mark C talking some comics is always fantastic fun for us there. And hail to our great friend Mark C, who he would approve and I would have him on as many Monday nights and any other nights as I could, talking some comics, especially this topic tonight. But again, some more show notes. Wednesday, of course, as you all know, part of the reason I'm doing this superhero battle thingy is because the big movie that is all the rage that released this past weekend, or this past week, was Godzilla versus Kong. But since this is a comics night, this is a comics show, I thought we would, since that's a battle of two titans, we would talk a little bit. Problem being, Avon lives. Good to see you, brother. Since this is a comic book show, I figure in the vein of Godzilla versus Kong, we would talk about battles between heroes, such as that. But that's what we will do tonight, great superhero battles. But Wednesday night, my old buddy from the old days, Carrie Fisher, a.k.a. The Flash, will join me for something we used to do every now and then. We would review new films and talk about new films and stuff like that. And we will be talking about I planned to. I guess I'm not sure if I'd really planned to do a show about Godzilla versus Kong or not, but I liked it. I plan to talk about it at some point. I actually enjoyed it. I guess some didn't. Well, spoiler alert: Flash hated it. He feels far more strongly about hating it than I do about liking it. But I enjoyed it. Appreciate that, Mark T. with the say. I appreciate you, buddy. Oh, again, Probby, it's great to see you, my friend, as always. So he wanted to talk about it. Of course, he's a good old buddy and had him on in a long time. So Wednesday night, Flash, my old buddy, it's going to be Clobby versus Flash, I guess. We're going to be talking about Godzilla versus Kong. It'll be full of spoilers. I figure that's enough time for, Yeah, wait a minute. Probby, did you expect the plot in a kaiju movie? Yeah. But anyway, we'll talk about all that. But I had fun with the movie. Again, when you try to add a plot to a kaiju movie, you get the most boring movie ever made. It's called Shin Godzilla, which everyone loves, and I think it's one of the worst pieces of trash I've ever seen in my life. And it won big awards, and people think it's wonderful. Why do all the female characters come off as completely unlikable? I didn't agree. I don't agree entirely with that. I kind of like the little girl. If she counts as a female character, I liked her, and I didn't mind her mentor lady that was with her. It was the Scooby gang with the Stranger Things gang that I didn't like. But Flash and I, of course, will cover all that. Phantom Outsider. I hear you, Probby. I hear you. In the 20, I don't. You know why I don't expect the plot? Because I don't even expect a good movie anymore. I don't even. This is 2021. I don't expect a good movie anymore. If I end up just sort of liking something a little bit, I'm shocked. The most enjoyment I've got of watching anything recently, everyone. And I'm going to move. I'm not going to make this a topic. I'm just going to say it was Mahler's video about that stupid piece of crap Snyder's cut. Mahler's video of 2:17 to well more than 2 hours. I could watch it over and over again. I loved it so much it almost made me glad there was a Snyder Cut, because I'm one of those few that I hate the Snyderverse. I remember when most people hated the Snyderverse and the world went nuts and everyone wants it back. And they like that filthy, idiotic Snyder Cut, which is fine if you like it. I love you still if you're my friend. But I hated it. And Mahler ripped it into little pieces so beautifully. I can watch. That's the most entertaining film I've seen on. It's not a film; it's a 2-hour something video. But it was like watching a movie. I have not been more entertained by anything in a long time than Mahler's video called "The Snyder Cut: An Unbridled Rampage." It is beauty. It's a thing of beauty. I love it. So, oh God, so fantastic. I mean, that man is a superhero to me now, because Red Letter Media let me down with theirs, and this man he nails it. But we live in that kind of world now, where people accept any old thing and just, there you go. But anyway, but Flash and I will have shout out with G versus K, Apollomedes Minion, welcome GVK on Wednesday night, 8 p.m. CST. And of course, the Global Geek Gang will assemble again, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, Thursday afternoon. Hey, Probby, by the way, you have an open invite if you ever want to join the International Global Geek Gang, as we call it. And if you know you're a busy man and all that stuff, you stream a lot, but we'd always love to have you drop in. We had a full panel the past couple of weeks. We had Robert Meyer Burnett last week, and there were 9 of us there. And then the week before that, again, the past 2 weeks, we did our part 1 and part 2 of our Green Lantern panels. This week will be just more of an open, I figure we might just do one topic a month the rest of the other weeks, as long as I'm allowed to have that time in the daytime to do it. My schedule might change where I can't even do the Global Geek Gang anymore for a while if my schedule gets weird. But when we do that from now on, once a month at least, we're going to do some kind of a well, probably I'll take you. I will shoot you the link every time we do the Global Geek Gang this week and anyway. And well, of course he did. I love Ocean Man, by the way. But yeah, so anyway, once a month, and pretty soon, in the not too distant future, and I don't mean next Sunday, AD probably. I want to do a Blake 7. I want to do a Blake 7 discussion on the Global Geek Gang, because there are enough of us. Of course, you and I are Blake 7 fans. Lord Thoth is a Blake 7 fan. Retro is a Blake 7's fan, and maybe we can the other guys, if they're not, well, we'll just let them join anyway. So I think not too distant future, we need to do a Blake 7 show on the Global Geek Gang. Pat S., what's up, my brother? Good to see you. Well, Probby, you are absolutely correct, sir. Just Joe, what's up, Jobber? Good to see you, brother. Always, man. Jobber, you just popped in after I made my announcement. Flash and I Wednesday night. We're gonna have our argument over GVK, Godzilla versus Kong, like the old days when we used to argue over movies. Not that I feel that strongly about it, but I sort of enjoyed it. And I know you're surprised by this, Jobber, but Flash hated it. Spoiler alert. And he really wants to rail. So he is going to go off on it, and it's going to be funny. Whether I agree with him or not, I love it when he goes off on something like that. And, he likes when I do it too. Mark D with the C, I love Blake 7. It is very different. I mean, it's never been released in the States on our region. I've had to make downloads and stuff. Back in the 80s and 90s, it was released on VHS tapes, which I have all mine. I have all 52 episodes on VHS. But when it comes to the DVD sets that were released, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, whatever it was, those were all Region 2. I had to order some of those, and I had to order a Region 2 player. And eventually, I was able to get some just good copies that I could play on a normal DVD player. Because the jackasses will not release Blake 7 in the States, damn it. Great show. But I guess, you know what? Probably it's good that Blake 7 stays under the radar, because we don't need another sick, horrible remake of something that we love like that, man. We've talked about that before. So, yeah, that's pretty much the size of it, Just Joe. You got it, Jobber. You know Flash. Here at Clobberin Times, whether it's Flash when he was here most of the time, or it's me, here at Clobberin Times, we specialize in the unpopular opinion. I have many, and I revel in them. And Flash has many himself. That's why we get along. We don't agree on a lot. We agree on some things, but we don't agree on a lot when it comes to this entertainment. But we both have some really unpopular opinions. He's got way more than mine, probably, but yeah. Well, Mark D with the C, it's on BritBox across the pond. But it's not on BritBox here that I know of yet, unless they put it on recently. There have been threats of a reboot, Chris Persia there, bro, but I don't know if it's happened yet, man. Well, anyway, superhero battles. In much the same way that Godzilla and Kong must clash. When heroes do clash, it's fun, right? By the way, Jed, if you're out there, I don't know. Jed said something about wanting to. He sent me some kind of. I didn't. If you're hearing, I didn't see it until I got home. I barely glanced at it. So whatever it was, maybe he went to sleep. He probably went to sleep. Anyway. That is absolutely true, probably. Blake 7 inspired a lot. So, superhero battles. Probably the most famous and the biggest and the most important superhero battle, Clash of Titans, if you will, with regards to superheroes. Now, I know there's a lot of people will probably try to find what the first ones were and different things like that. As far as a big slugfest battle, the first one took place in the courts. Lisa P, how you doing there? It's wonderful to see you. Always a pleasure. Thank you for popping in. The first big superhero battle. You could argue, now someone could probably find an obscure one here and there, but the two biggest ones, of course. Now, you got to clarify this, probably not to this gang, but still I'll do it anyway. Anyone who may hear this later. Superman and Captain Marvel, and it took place in the courts. It did not take place on the comic book page till 20 some odd years later after it first went on. Oh, Lisa, that's great. Took Jack to see Godzilla versus Kong. Well, I hope he had a good time, dear. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I appreciate that. I'm glad you did that. That is, man, I love it because I know he's a big Godzilla fan. Now, Captain Marvel. That's okay, probably. But I mean, I love Soups better, but I love Captain Marvel. When I say Captain Marvel, by the way, well, that's good, Lisa. I enjoyed it as well. I love Captain Marvel. And when I say Captain Marvel, folks, look, I love Marvel, but Captain Marvel, the one who says Shazam, but it's not his name. It's the name of the wizard, Billy Batson, is the one true Captain Marvel. Absolutely, Lisa, he would have, and I think he might have enjoyed it too. The big red cheese is absolutely right, Phantom Outsider. I love him dearly. Again, I do love Superman a little bit more, but I love them both. And the first battle took place between National Periodical Publications and Fawcett Publications, and well, we all know who won. We all know who won that fight. And after in the early 50s, after that court battle, which cost Fawcett, Fawcett pretty much went out of business. Captain Marvel disappeared for about 20 years. The Big Red Cheese and the Marvel family were gone for 20 years. So first round, not to Superman, because these characters were all, look, almost pretty much every classic comic book character that is an industry, that is an icon, a cottage industry owned in quotations, owned by gigantic corporations, stolen from their original creators. But so that fight didn't go to either superhero. That fight went to National. It went to DC, National Periodical Publications. But it would be 20 some odd years later when they would, of course, steal the character, even though they had to call him Shazam on the cover. I'm going to get to Superman and Captain Marvel in a second, but that's 20 years later. And I know Phantom Outsider could probably help me remember if I'm getting this right. Really kind of the first superhero battle between, two big-time superheroes. Look, not the first. We can't say first exactly. Because, there are little ones here and there, but the first big one, first big rivalry, in terms of actually taking place on the comic book page, well, I believe we all know who it was. Oh, yeah, we're going to get back around to Soups and Captain Marvel and Big Red Cheese, buddy. But it's orange versus green, really. Thing Hulk battles. Since DC, I actually hate calling Captain Marvel DC, since it's really Fawcett and he was kind of screwed over and stolen. But DC's, you just use them for communication's sake. You say Marvel, you say DC. So DC weren't really able to establish the big fight. And don't worry, Phantom Outsider, we're going to talk about Captain Thunder before we talk about Captain Marvel. And we're going to go back and forth. The two biggest ones from Marvel and DC are, of course, Thing Hulk. Sure, Hulk fought Thor. Sure, Hulk fought others. Thing Hulk. Now, superhero battles, they come part and parcel with being a kid and loving comic books. Even though, obviously, your superheroes fight super villains. But there's just something. There's just something fun. Mark's little sis, hey, Elizabeth. Oh, good to see you. It is wonderful to see you here. I hope you were doing well. I don't know what it is. They're friends, of course, eventually, usually, but all Thing and Hulk, not so much. But superheroes are on the same side, but it's still fun to watch them fight. It's so much fun. We love it. I don't know why. But Thing Hulk battles are iconic. Just as Superman Captain Marvel battles are iconic. They're huge. It's just, for a while there, the Hulk was, even though he had his own title for about 6 issues, then later, of course, got into another title again. Was sort of in a sense, he was kind of treated like a villain in some ways in the Marvel Universe. Even though he joined the Avengers, he fought with the Avengers. He fought the FF a lot. He fought them all. So, are you saying, did Tales of Suspense 49 predate Fantastic Four number 12? Because I'll believe you, dude. I don't think of that when I think. I know the comic. I know the issue. I don't know what number. I know the fight. I didn't, but if it predates it, I appreciate that, Phantom Outsider. The first important one was this one right here, but I love, if that one came first, I love hearing that. But Thing Hulk battles are just, I don't know. I mean, yes, the Thing, my favorite all-time character, he's very outmatched by the Hulk. There's no question about it. I mean, he's just but when they slam it, it's just, again, I like it when he fights Thor. I like it when he fights other characters. It's okay. There you go. Predates FF12. That's early, dude. But FF12 took a while there. But this is the one that counts. This is the one that sticks. And don't worry, Iron Man. I got a lot of Iron Man lined up too. I got the big ones lined up. I like that obscure one you're talking about. I even have a reprint of it somewhere. That's why it's so cool to have Phantom Outsider here. And this is what I'm wearing on my shirt right now. I have a shirt of this cover. When I was a kid, again, there was Marvel's Greatest Comics, which was an FF reprint, which I'd already had some Thing Hulk battles in. But this was one of my first, if not my first, one of my first comics I bought, which was not a reprint, which had a Thing Hulk fight. This is a two-parter, of course. This is the first or second part. Maybe this was the second part. This is maybe the second part. First part, actually, yeah. Second part had a Kirby cover on top of the in St. Louis on top of the arch. Yeah, Angel. Lisa, thank you for stopping in. It is wonderful to see you. Thank you. It's good to see you there. And I hope you're doing, and I'm so glad you got to bring Jack to see that. Thank you so much for popping in, my dear. It is a pleasure to see you. I hope you are doing well. Well, yeah. Yes, I wish I had a shirt of that one. It's a Kirby cover of 167. But yes, fighting on the arch. George Perez interior. Unfortunately, Vince Coletta inks, but that couldn't ruin. I think it was Coletta. Either way. But this, of course, is a nice Buckler cover. But yes, I have a shirt of this one. I wish I had a shirt of the other one. Yeah, but again, I guess that's what I love about Ben. He'll slug it out with someone he knows is a superior opponent. More on Thing Hulk in a second. Whoa, really? Oh, really? That's amazing. He got you to read some comics, did he? Excellent. Oh yeah, I think I found a picture of that one too, Phantom. Yeah. So let's see here. We're gonna go back to Thing and Hulk in a sec. I want to talk about when we're gonna jump to Soups and Captain Marvel. We're gonna jump all over the place, backwards and forwards. We're gonna jump to Soups and Captain Marvel for a minute because shortly before, a couple of years before, a few years before they were able to. There we go. A few years before, they were able to bring the real Captain Marvel back in the Superman comic. I think it was 276. Just so they could do a story that that looks sort of like him fighting Captain Marvel. He fought Captain Thunder. And I know I don't have to tell Phantom Outsider that. Remember that one? I know you remember that one. Yep. We'll see. So, for those who do not remember, yeah, that symbol really made no sense at all. No, you're right, dude. It didn't really work. Oh, shite. But these were the days, though. Kurt Swan. Shaboom. Shaboom, shabop. Shaboom. Oh, my goodness. So there you have it, folks. Captain Thunder. Yeah. But eventually, of course, they would get the chance. And would see the big red cheese and the big red S duke it out for real. And I love that it was the JLA JSA crossover there, as you can see, with Earth 2 Batman, Earth 2 Robin, the Marvel family from Earth S, and a couple of good folks from Earth 1. Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth S. The good old days. And a great Ernie Chua cover, by the way. But before that, I mean, but you know, right around that same time, incidentally. Now let's say something here. A few years before that, they weren't. This was just sticking Superman on the cover to bring back. Now remember, look, they used to say they weren't really sanguine about them putting Captain Marvel on the cover, but they named this title Shazam, or with one magic word, Shazam, and the original Captain Marvel. This is when they brought him back after 30-some odd years. CC Beck cover. One day we'll do a show about all the minutiae of the lawsuit, folks. It's a very involved and a very sad story. The big lawsuit. Canadian Spider-Man does whatever a Canadian Spider can. Hello, buddy. What's up? These are my times right here, though. These covers we're showing here from the Bronze Age. And yes, I will be backtracking a little bit because I want to talk about, we'll come back to Superman and Captain Marvel, but I want to talk about one of my favorite superhero battles of all time. You all know me. I'm a Thing guy, so I love the Thing the most. Thing Hulk battles, and I love Superman and Captain Marvel. So I love I love that contest, and I love those characters. But one of my favorite superhero battles of all time is probably the most lopsided of all of the superhero battles, of all of the battles in comic books ever. It's one of the most lopsided of them all. It's also one of the greatest for so many reasons. This right here, folks, is one of the greatest comics of the Silver Age, in my opinion, by the great Wallace Wood. Yes, Submariner versus Daredevil. Daredevil number 7. This is a classic. I have a shirt with this on it as well. Yes, mismatch to win all mismatches. No question about it. But a beautiful classic. Whatever Disney sequel to, I don't. Oh, I hear you. Well, Canadian Spider-Man, it's always great to see you, my friend. I hope we can help you chill out a little bit, buddy. You all know the story if you've read this great comic book. This, of course, is the beginning of Daredevil's red costume. Well, I hear you there, Phantom Outsider, but at least Spider-Man has some powers. I mean, physical powers. Obviously, we know we have radar sense for Daredevil, but he has no superpowers. And this is against a guy who could slug it out with the Hulk. I hear you, but this is the ultimate mismatch that I know of. Until we get to another one we'll be talking about called Batman versus Hulk. But right now, it's this one. And this story, basically, Daredevil's on his own. We don't know where all the other superheroes are. And Subby's pissed off. Remember, he was always pissed off back then. He was an anti-hero in some ways. And he was mad at the surface dwellers, and he was going to start trashing the city. And Daredevil, without going into too much of the plot, he didn't, he had to try to fight him as best he could. And which means nothing. He had no chance, no shot. And this is one of the greatest, he barely even stunned him with some electricity at the end of this fight. And of course, Daredevil's finally just out for the count. And I just love this scene. Yet, how can one measure the limitless courage of a fellow human? Although on the brink of unconsciousness, although racked with pain and fatigue, still the sightless crusader reaches out. Come back. You mustn't fight the others. They're innocent. Mustn't be harmed. Mustn't. And of course, Daredevil conks out after this brutal confrontation with this character that's as a god to him. But then even the dauntless will of Daredevil cannot hold back complete exhaustion. And as Submariner says, in one of the most powerful summations I've ever seen in a comic book, the epitome of heroism. I have fought the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, and other superpowered humans, but none has been more courageous than he, the most vulnerable of all. Yeah, I love it. Well, Pat asked, Subby was always, he was kind of, he vacillated back and forth. He helped the Allies during the war. He became sort of, then he started, when he came back, he threatened the surface world. He teamed up with Dr. Doom many times, but he also teamed up with the Avengers and FF and different things like that. Subby was just complicated. I love him, by the way. And to further demonstrate the courage of the man without fear, as he was once called, I miss the Daredevil, the pre-Miller Daredevil that existed for about 16 years. And look, I love the Miller run. I was young. I love this stuff. But he did fundamentally alter the character of Daredevil. It was one of my favorite characters. I love old Hornhead. I love Daredevil. But he did change him. Miller did. But for 16 years, Daredevil was more the happy-go-lucky, fun-loving hero. He hung out with superheroes, and he always managed to keep pace with them, even though he had no superpowers. I'll never forget buying this annual. Terrible interior, I think, by George Tuska. Great Gil Kane cover. I think I know that king size issue you're talking about, that Phantom Outsider. Yep. Oh, look, yeah, Subby he was all over the place fighting. Yeah, Cap fought him all. Human Torch fought Subby. We're going to talk about that later. I liked the Human Torch. Subby was a good rival. We got some more. We got plenty of Subby ahead too. We're going to be getting to, but I'm on Daredevil right now. I doubt that Canadian Spider-Man, but I appreciate that, buddy. Thank you, man. But I remember when I bought this off the rack, and there was an annual. It was 50 whole cents. God, I loved annuals. Again, this has a terrible interior by George Tuska. Ugh, I think it was Tuska. But this Gil Kane cover, I'm just out of this world. But anyway, pre-Miller Daredevil, although Miller actually drew this story, this is when Roger McKenzie was still writing the comic. If you think fighting Subby's bad, how about this one? Again, Daredevil finds himself in a pretty green pickle right there. Mark D with the C, you have to run, bro. I'm sorry. Take it easy, bud. Daredevil up against it with the Hulk. Basically talks Hulk out of a rampage. The following issue, of course, was about Hulk. DD, Daredevil, recovering, and all the superheroes came to visit him. Where they were, I don't know. Nobody knows where they were. But speaking of Subby had another rival. I mean, Daredevil was just that one-off, pretty much kind of battle there with him. It was a classic. Subby had a rival in the Human Torch, but he also had another one. Subby and Iron Man. Was pretty badass. There you go, Phantom Outsider. Man, you can't get much better than starting off a story with Gene Colan. He gets the flu, he gets sick or whatever, and it gets finished by the King of Comics. And as you can see, they not only shared a title together in a one-shot thing. Subby and Daredevil had a feud. Excuse me. Subby and Iron Man had a feud. I'm sorry. I should have said. Those boys had some issues. What was it with their dudes there, huh? Why did they not like each other? See, superhero battles aren't really supposed to make a lot of sense. You just love to see them as a kid. I don't know why, but they knew it. Marvel knew it better than DC do it. DC didn't do it as much. Obviously, you had, Captain Marvel, Superman, but Marvel knew it big time. They just, I don't know. I'm not sure what it was. You just love to see it. It would drag me in sometimes if I would see two superheroes fighting on a cover. And they kept trying to recapture that. I don't know what it was with Subby either, But his battles go back farther than that. They go back to the Golden Age with the Human Torch. Arguably the first big superhero rivalry. Which makes sense. You got, fire and water. It just worked. Jim Hammond, the synthesoid Human Torch. That's right, Pat. It sure was. Yep. You are correct, Fandom Outsider. They knew. Marvel knew. Bill Everett, Carl Burgos, Alex Schomburg. This, of course, is, for those who don't know him, is the Golden Age Human Torch, Jim Hammond, a synthesoid, as I said. And this, of course, is the Johnny Storm Human Torch. This is a big rivalry. It's probably, I don't know, maybe it's not quite as famous as Superman, Captain Marvel, or Hulk Thing Hulk. Phantom Outsider, didn't Submariner start in motion picture funnies or whatever? But anyway, these characters, again, it's funny. I've always thought about this one. I always just default to Superman and Captain Marvel and Thing Hulk, when really this is the first one. The first big one is Subby and Jim Hammond. But Hey. And it kind of continued a little bit, Johnny Storm and Namor, because I get in trouble when I say Namor. With Steve Mitchum there, he doesn't like me to say Namor. He says Namor. Look, I'm sorry, dude. I saw it on a page. No one ever. In fact, didn't the old Marvel superheroes cartoon call him that? Didn't they say Namor? I don't know. So I just got used to saying Namor, man. Namor sounds like a hammer. Well, you got me, buddy. I just got used to saying Namor. I mean, everyone, I think a lot of people did. I don't know. But oops, I put modern art there. Sorry. This, of course, is a reprint right here, but I don't know why. And Phantom Outsider and anyone else who's old, I'd be interested in knowing this. Yeah, it was Namor on the 66 cartoons. I mean, that's the way Marvel did it. So I'm just going to go with, I mean, it doesn't feel right saying Namor to me. That's Namor. Okay. Sorry. I just say Subby if it makes everybody happy, because I like calling him Subby anyway. Does anybody, now, Phantom Outsider, I don't know what age group you're into, but it seems, with your knowledge, it sounds like you've been around like I have. Are there some comic books that for some strange reason you can, not all of them, and maybe most of them with you, I don't know, that you can, if you look at the cover, you remember where you were and it's 50 years ago, 45 years ago, all that, whatever it is, and you remember where the hell you bought, what comic book rack you bought it off of, where you were when you bought it and such. This reprint comic right here, the Human Torch reprint series, which I just love this cover. I remember buying it at a campground up in Durango, Colorado, off of a spinner rack there. And I couldn't have been 8, 9, 10 years old. I don't know. Whatever I was. Not sure what I was, 8, 9, 10, somewhere from there. I do know when I became old enough to buy them off the spinner, they had just jumped from 20 to 25 cents. So, yeah. And I didn't know what a reprint was. That wasn't a reprint to me. It's a comic book. All I knew was, wow, it's the Human Torch and Submariner. Yeah. Good times. Superhero battles are kind of like that. They're nostalgic, I think. They make you think of, they make you think of your childhood when you saw a cover on a spinner rack. And you're like, oh my God, so-and-so was fighting so-and-so. I got to have that. And we're jumping all over the place, but yeah, this was the first big one right here. Jim Hammond and more. Human Torch original and Submariner. The first big one. I believe you, Pat S. We didn't have a 12 mark. For me, it was 7-Elevens and it was Eckerd Drugs and K&B, man. I remember junior high age Stephen helping preschool age me find Care Bears comics. Oh, There you go. Comics bring back memories. I love hearing that. That is wonderful. And back to some Superman and Captain Marvel. This was one of the few of the DC tabloid editions, sometimes wrongfully or inaccurately referred to as Treasury editions, that was new material. In other words, it was not a reprint. Great Rich Buckler cover and insides, I thought. Buckler, yeah, he's ripping Adams, I guess. It's okay. Whatever. Why not, man? I love this comic. I absolutely love it. Project Story Time. What's up, buddy? Thanks for popping in, brother. Always good to see you, bud. Steve. Well, we're not. Don't worry, Steve. Since you don't like Archie comics, we will not be covering Archie Meets the Punisher. Well, Superman versus Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was sort of a superhero to me at that point, but I didn't really think much of it for this topic. But still, great Neil Adams art in that one. Just phenomenal stuff. And along that vein, at that time of this huge tabloid size fight, yes, Mark C is Steven to the family and everything. Yes, indeed. Yes. That's why this show will always be called Monday Night Mark C Comics Talk here. Yep. And because I know he would have had fun with this topic. And when I do one of these topics, Mark's sisters, I do have him in the back of my mind on any of this stuff. I'm going like, yeah, if this is he was a busy feller, but I always go, if he'd have been available, he would have been, I would have asked him on to talk about this and next week's topic, which I'll announce next week's topic in a minute. I would have had him on for any comics topic. I'd have had him on for any of them. Any of them. With Captain Marvel and Superman was a big one, but then there were the smaller ones, or the one-offs. Around the same time this book came out, everyone remember this one, the great Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. There was a Superman Wonder Woman battle. That's right. Again, one of the few, what is it, 3, 4, 5, whatever it was, of these tabloids by DC that was not a reprint book. And that was a pretty damn good one. You wouldn't think of Superman and Wonder Woman having to fight too much, but they've had their little they've had their clashes from time to time, as many of you know. And the art in this one, again, just spectacular, obviously. A 72-page novel form. Got them all. I have all these tabloids, of course. Well, Steve, we actually did that show about Burns' terrible reboot. Steven, that was the first one that Steven and I did was about that. Yeah. So, yeah. $2 for that sucker, huh? Look at that. Now, to switch gears a little bit, then we'll get back to DC in a second. There was another pretty good superhero rivalry. And Phantom Outsider touched on this a little bit before. And it's not to be ignored. Yeah, and again, it's not Thing Hulk. It's not Soup's Captain Marvel, not the big red cheese from Superman. It's not Human Torch Subby or even Iron Man Subby. But it's close, at least close to the Iron Man Subby, I guess. Because, the fight, the three big ones probably have to be Superman, Captain Marvel, Thing Hulk, and, Subby and Human Torch to a lesser degree. The ones that happened the most, probably. I have not counted that out. No scientific data, mind you. Just saying. But it's still pretty big. Because it's pretty big, and it's kind of the first one of the biggest ones to show up in a major motion picture. But this is about comic books, of course. Nevertheless, it's a biggie. And that would be, of course, Thor and Hulk. Because Thor and Hulk have mixed it up. Let's see here. You earlier mentioned Defenders number 10, I believe. Phantom Outsider. Thor Hulk's a pretty good one. Rod Thunderheart, welcome, bud. Welcome, sir. Always good to see you, my friend. Thor Hulk, again, it happened in a movie. It happened in a lot of other places, mostly in comics, and a lot of very good comics. So it's not to be, again, I don't know. And Phantom Outsider, I don't know what you think about this. If I had to rate the biggest, most important superhero battles, again, first one being Subby and Original Human Torch. But as far as the biggest, because of the legal battle that took place 20 years before it actually happened, I still think I go Superman, Captain Marvel. My heart goes with Thing Hulk after that. And Thing Hulk is bigger. Then, because of its historical significance, Subby and Original Human Torch. But this has to be right up there. Subby and Iron Man's big, but Hulk Thor is big. Well, yeah, that is also true. Well, actually, Bill Everett created the Submariner, but I believe Carl Burgos created the Original Human Torch. But they're both Golden Age, greats there. So, yeah. So I think those might be the four biggest ones. There are plenty. I'm not saying there aren't other ones, and we're going to talk about them. But I think that you can put them in any order you want. But I think those are the four biggest. Yeah. Oh, this Thor versus Iron Man. There are a lot of battles. I'm not saying these are the only ones. Just saying that it's I don't know. Those are the big ones. And Thor Hulk, I mean, good God, it was so big. It was probably the first I mean, obviously, you remember they put Thor in, they put Thor in one of those Incredible Hulk, TV movies. But also the scene in Avengers when they fought on the Shield helicarrier. Well, I'm glad you mentioned. By the way, I was getting to that one too because I was getting to one you just mentioned, Phantom Outsider. So now that you said it, I may as well put it up here. I actually loaded that picture earlier. This issue of Silver Surfer here. Thor Silver Surfer wasn't a regular deal. That's why I'm going to the ones that were recurring, but it still is a classic. I mean, John Buscema, this is a great run. Skyrider of the Spaceways. What did some of us used to call the Silver Surfer? The Cosmic Crybaby. This is a great one right here. Loki trying to use Silver Surfer to destroy Thor. Oh yeah, Hulk versus Wolverine is again, it's a lot of there are ones that happen once or twice and here and there. Yes, what I was mostly focusing on early on, and ones that repeated that happened on a lot of occasions, or that were really standouts. Like the Daredevil one, the Daredevil ones they didn't happen a lot, but they were huge to me. But I think the four biggies are going to be, again, Soup's Big Red Cheese, Hulk thing, Subby and Subby Torch, both torches in a way, and Subby Iron Man, and Hulk Thor. I mean, I don't know of any that took place a lot more than that. Maybe there are, but it's just ones that stand out to me. They stand out. And I can't remember it. Maybe about something like 20-something years ago. In other words, I think it was in the 2000s. There was a really good Hulk annual that had a good Thor Hulk battle. It was actually a really good story. And I cannot for the life of me remember which annual it was. This also should be noted. Subby, there's one really great issue of Tales to Astonish, or was it? I mean, yeah, Tales to Astonish, the Hulk Thor. The Hulk Subby book. Where Hulk and Submariner had a pretty damn good fight. Wasn't it like a Marie Severin issue? I hate when I post modern looking art. Hulk Subby is a great one. That's there's a book, of course, called the greatest superhero battles. Good God. And that was when I first saw one of those Fireside reprint books. It had that Hulk Subby one. They fought a few times. I mean, that one, my favorite one. I mean, there's so many fights. That's what superheroes did. They fought amongst each other a lot. Oh, God. Pat S., that's dude, that's amazing. My goodness. Let's see here. And Subby and Iron Man did not get along. I mean, yeah, again, Thor and Hulk didn't get along either. I wish I could remember that damn annual. How about a little Sal? Oh, I was trying to find that. I was looking, that's a Buckler cover there with Milgram, but I was trying to find the Sal Buscema issue that was the. Maybe this was it. There's that Defenders issue again there, Phantom. Oh, there have been some Spidey Hulks. Yeah. Now, let us take a little turn and take a look at, let's see, one of the weirder ones. This was a team up that just should never have worked, and I love it. I mean, battle didn't team up. You know how that goes. They battled and they team up. That's the way it works. I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry. But I love the Batman Hulk comic. I love it. I don't know why you can never find a decent scan of it. I thought it was a great story, too. Great art by Lopez, of course. Garcia Lopez, I should say. Now, I remember when this was first announced, it was like, what? Batman versus Hulk? That's 2 seconds, right? But it's, you know, and at the time, you have to remember something about this period. This was before Bat Bros. What do I mean by that? Well, look, I love Batman. I loved him then, loved him now, I love him now. But Batman, you know, he was still great. But there wasn't this strange mystique built around Batman by this certain Bat Bro crowd that thinks he, you know, he's invulnerable, he's invincible, he can never be beaten, he never makes mistakes. You know, the old Batman can beat Galactus joke. And there's the thing, Canadian Spider-Man. There's not really a winner. Hulk was being messed with by the Shaper of Worlds. This is Lynn Wein wrote this. I really love this story. This is a good story. Batman is no physical match for the Hulk. But while Hulk was on a rampage, he did manage to get a good lucky shot kick into his abdomen, made him lose his, you know, like a, you know, knocked the wind out of him for a brief second. But he's Batman, so he's pretty smart. He knows he can't really do much against him. But he was able to gas him. And he's able to get him to breathe in, knock the wind out of him just long enough for him to exhale and inhale in his fumes. Batman was able to gas him. Batman used his brain because that's what Batman does. But with enough preparation, Batman can beat anybody. I agree with that. But Batman's smart enough to know his limitations. When I say he could beat him, like people say Batman can beat Galactus, yeah, he would go to Reed Richards for help. He'd cross universes, go to Reed Richards. Quick show note that I usually like to do sort of in the middle of a show. A week from tonight on Monday Night Mark C Comics Talk. I won't go too into it in here. I'm just going to say I'm going to debunk some myths. The myth of those who constantly say Marvel and DC are too different. Marvel and DC are different tonally and all this stuff. Again, you might like Marvel or DC one more than the other, and that's perfectly fine. You prefer one, you prefer the other. I have plenty of people say I'm a DC guy. Plenty of people say I'm a Marvel guy. I'm one of those that loves them both equally. Again, when I started with these characters, I didn't know what a Marvel or a DC was. I just knew the TV shows I was watching and so forth. So, TV was my gateway drug, the comic book characters and superheroes. I'm going to be debunking some myths that a lot of people throw out there saying, oh, yeah, Marvel can be lighthearted and fun like the MCU, but the DC is far more serious, so their movies need to be deadly serious. That is patently false, and I will be debunking the myths that people promulgate about Marvel, DC and Marvel being all that different tonally. They're really not. I'm not talking about movies. You can make, and even with movies, they're not really. But you can make one darker than the other, but both have been dark, both have been light. There are a lot of myths out there about the differences between Marvel and DC. I'll be taking care of those next Monday night. But like I said, there's nothing wrong with preferring one or the other. I love them both. I mean, when I did last time many, many years ago when Flash and I did our favorite all-time, comic book superheroes, top 25 list, it was close to half and half Marvel and DC for me. Right up in there. And it wasn't calculated. It just came out that way. So that was what next Monday, I'm going to be talking about Marvel and DC. Are they really that different? So it's not a Marvel versus DC thing. And again, like whichever one you like the most. I love them both. Both companies have been run by horrible scumbags for 80 years. But in terms of the characters, I love superheroes, and they both have fantastic superheroes. I just love them. Well, that's exactly Phantom Outsider. That's my point. A lot of people who just don't know what they're talking about will say stuff like, and they judge by movies. They say the MCU is jokey and quippy and stuff and lighthearted, and that's fine. But DC shouldn't be that way. Why? Because Zack Snyder and Christopher Nolan, those two jackasses who don't care about DC, fuck those people. Fuck those idiots. Anyway, that gets me started. Screw Snyder and his shitty Snyderverse. Don't restore the Snyderverse. Ugh. No, DC is not usually darker. There are plenty of dark Marvel books, and I don't like those either, by the way. And, DC, the movies is not the metric to judge these comic book characters by. Yes, DC's had some darker movies. Did anyone ever see a movie called Superman the Movie in 1978? So is that darker? No. No, the Tick is not Marvel. The Tick is not a Marvel character. Ben Edlund created him. What was that name of that? Was it New England Comics or whatever it was he created him for? So no. But no, movies are one thing. Yeah, you got Nolan movies and Snyder crap. That doesn't make DC darker. They've had dark DC comics. They've had light DC comics. I love the Ambush Bug, by the way. They've had dark Marvel comics and they've had lighthearted Marvel comics. Anyway, we'll be taking care of that next Monday. Another fun Hulk fight. It's happened a few times, but my favorite one. Well, Superman versus the Hulk. Not done a lot. Cross company, I know. but worth the mention. And I hate that when I pull this Google up, because I was busy, I wasn't able to load all the it pulls up crap that I don't want to see. There you go. Yeah, I don't care what you say. I love the Silver and Bronze Age. Next week, perhaps, yeah. Rod, I mentioned this at the beginning of the show. Mahler's video on the Snyder butt, 2 hour, 2:18, 2 hour and some change, whatever it was so fantastic. I hate the Snyder cut. I hate everything about the Snyder universe, and I hate all this insanity. There were a lot of people who once hated that thing are all on board with it now because of that shitty Snyder cut. Mahler destroyed it. He annihilated it. It was such a great video. If you have not seen Mahler's video yet, you got to. It's called was it Zack Snyder's Justice League, an Unbridled Rampage? Like a lot of his videos are called an Unbridled Rampage. It is yes, it's way past the movie length of anything. It's not 4 hours like that shitty movie, but like the shitty Snyder cut. But it is 10 times more entertaining, and it's like I just loved it. It was just, yes, indeed, Rod. It was fantastic. I want to watch it. I'm going to watch it again. It's more entertaining than any movie I've sat through in a long time. I'm not even kidding about that. Mahler's video, just annihilating the Snyder butt. Unbridled Rampage, I thought, but maybe it's Unbridled Rage. I thought it was Unbridled Rampage. Anyway, either way, go to Mahler's channel. That video, I guess there's just something so satisfying by it, was the most entertaining thing, anything movie length thing I've watched in ages. I loved it. Anyway, in the second Superman Spider-Man team up crossover in the 70s, it was Marvel's turn. DC and Marvel. It's a joint operation, but the DC staff pretty much, with Carmen Infantino as publisher at the time, handled the first one from 1976. Oh, thanks, Steve. God, I loved it, man. It's so good. And that had a great, by the way, they had a great fight between Superman and Spider-Man, which is a lot of fun. But in the second one, and look, you can kind of poke fun at it. It's kind of funny. In the second team up, which was, of course, DC had handled Jim Shooter's story, insert Jim Shooter insult right there if you want. John Buscema with the pencils. I think Joe Sutton inked him, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm drawing a blank, so maybe I think so. Great comment. I thought it was great. Spidey has tangles Wonder Woman. They have a great scene with Dr. Doom and Superman in it, but I just loved the confrontation between Hulk and Superman. Now, of course, look, John Buscema definitely drew the Hulk way too short, much shorter than Superman. He shrank. Because that joke's going to be obvious, right? Yeah, I hear you, Jobber. It was hilarious, though. It's amazing. I'm with you, Jobber. I wish you would make more of those. That was a massive one, dude. It was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. Almost makes me glad they had. Now I'm actually, if I'd known there was going to be something that good, I would have been on the release the Snyder butt bandwagon just to see that happen because it was worth it. Say what you want about the Superman over the OP Superman, as they say today. People say he shouldn't be able to move planets and all this kind of crap. Okay, yeah, I know. I know. But what can you do? That's just what Superman kind of is. And I can't, yeah, there it is. There's, and I'm sorry. There was a little thing buzzing around Hulk's head, by the way, that Doom was using to use Hulk against Superman. And I just love this stupid scene. It's doopy crap. It's dopey. Yeah, that's my default always as well, Jobber. I always think it's unbridled rage, but it's actually unbridled rampage. Yeah, I love my boy Doomcock, Pat S, but I don't, I'm just, I just can't understand him liking that thing, but that's just me. And it's cool. People like whatever they want to like. But I just love it's goofy crap. But I love that, Shooter just wrote fists that can shatter mountains. Slam again and again into the body of the man who could move planets. He does not budge. But it was a fun fight. And of course, later, Steve Rude did a Superman Hulk fight as well. Also, there's something you should all check out. Has anyone seen this? I don't know if this video is still up on YouTube. Where someone did this big CGI, just a flat out fight between basically a movie looking Hulk and a Christopher Reeve Superman. Has any of you seen that? Oh yeah, look, hey, Jobber. Absolutely. I know Gary. Look, Gary and Doomcock, I'm a big fan. I love those guys. Doomcock's a buddy. I've been very, Gary's been good to me. So I love those guys. Like I said, Gary also, yeah, I mean, look, I just don't understand any of them liking that thing, but, many of my friends probably like it, and that's fine. But he respects Muller's opinions. People can still be friends and really disagree about. Sure, they can. And I always stand that. That's the way I always roll on that, Jobber. I mean, how Flash and I pick on each other about disagreeing all the time, but yeah. But this thing was a lot of fun. But it was, let's see. What's in that? Now, there are a couple of other superhero battles that I'll just mention real quick. We won't be that much longer. There's one that, how about the superhero battle that never really was, that I don't know if we want to see it or not. Because there are others, at the outset of the show, Found and Manslaughter mentioned Avengers versus Defenders, stuff like that, But I'm talking kind of mono and mono here. Well, here's one. That really, we've never seen it really fully realized in any comic worth its salt, anyway. In my opinion. But I think it's still worth talking about. Batman and Cap. Hey, Mark's little sis, thank you for being here tonight. We really appreciate you. All hail you, and of course, all hail to your great brother. We really appreciate seeing you here tonight. Who wins? Yeah, I actually like this comic. This is at this time when this comic book came out. Steve, look, because I've always liked Byrne's art. Although, I love this comic actually right here. And again, I was dragged kind of kicking, screaming to buy this comic. I'm doing this sort of, and this is in a sense a tribute to our buddy Mark C because he loved Byrne so much. At the time, I was really pissed off at Byrne, even more so than now. And so I didn't want to buy this. And Carlos, you've all seen him. He's been here before with me. Done shows with me before. Talked me into it. This is sometime in the 90s, I believe. And there's no battle. But I really like the comic book. It's Golden Age. These are Golden Age versions of the characters, of course. As you can see, Robin and Bucky are there. I recommend this as a good story. But I brought this up because this is a story. This is a battle that never really was done much. I know they've touched on it before. But when we're talking about superhero battles, I ask you, because I love Batman and Captain America almost pretty much equally. I love them both so much. This is the one. It's fun to watch the Thing and the Hulk punch it out with each other. It's fun to watch Superman and Captain Marvel, especially given their history, both on the page and in the courtroom, slug it out. Subby and Torch, either one of the Torches. Subby and Iron Man. We talked about all those. We talked about Subby and Thor. Kogi Pan, welcome. Kog, I hope I say that right. Kog Pan. I'm not sure how to say it, so I do apologize to you, but I welcome you. Thank you for being here. This is the one I don't ever want to see. Because I think Bruce Wayne and Steve Rogers kind of went at each other, have like a bit of a slight standoff for a second in that Byrne issue, if I remember right. It's been a while. I need to reread it. But they don't really have a big fight between the two characters. And maybe that's how it should be. I think they were going to have a tussle in the original Avengers JLA crossover by Perez. And then in the later one, I think, did they have a big fight in that one? Because I can't remember. You got to remember this a long time ago. Yeah, Batman, Moon Knight. There've been a lot of other fights. But Batman and Cap, I can do without them ever having a big fight. Well, Code Pan, I appreciate you very much. I can do without them ever having a fight for some reason. I don't know why. It just doesn't work. Because, I don't know. I mean, Cap does have super soldier serum, and anyway, something about it. There's some things that mankind are just not meant to know. When people say, who would win out of Batman and Captain America? I don't think we're evolved enough to know the answer to that question. I just don't think we're far along enough in our evolution to know the answer to such a complex question. So leave it in doubt. Leave it in doubt, I say. That could be a little over the top, I know. What's another? I don't know, because again, there are other superhero battles, but I like I'm mainly talking. Other than this one, was kind of a sidetrack. What are other ones that took place a lot? Yes, there are a lot of them that happen once in a while, or once or twice. Many of them. Yeah, now I remember one because we were talking about this one earlier. I know you remember this one at Phantom Outsider. This was one of my favorites. Herbert Trimp with Maurice Severin inks, if I remember right. Fantastic. So yeah, Hulk Subby was also a thing. Cap's not going to beat up an orphan. They did fight the Ratsies, yes. David Raymond, what's up, cuz? Good to see you there, man. Oh, man, I'm no Milton Friedman of anything, but I wish I was. Friedman's a great filler. So, oh, sorry. I forgot to share it because I'm a dumbass. Let's see. Bop, bada, bop, bada, bop, 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 bop. Vamping music. Bum, bada, bum, bada, bum, 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 bum. Some Thor. Excuse me, some Hulk subby action right there. Booster Cole's mom and pop haven't even born yet. So I did have one other one to talk about a little bit, and it's not a recurring one like this one. Again, Hulk and Subby, they went at it a couple times as well. There's so many that happened a few times. I'm just talking about the big standout ones now, because you'd be surprised what little you can cover in an hour and a couple of hours if you don't want to put any kind of real, doing real kind of time with it. Wow, we should have found a big one of that one. Well, Hulk Subby had to be covered. Good call, Phantom Outsider, by the way. You mentioned that earlier and reminded me of it. And look at all these, when I did this Google search, look at all the watches watches popped up. What the hell? Remember Soups and Spidey? Yeah, that was a fun one. Soups and Spidey was, again, it was kind of a fun one, but it was only like a kind of more so like a one-time deal thingy. But where was I? I got a little distracted there because I was looking for something. Now I forgot which one I wanted to show you guys. Yes. Well, definitely Mariner watches. What the hell? Oh. Did you say a grave filler? I don't think I did. Not on purpose. Shit, I had one I wanted to show you guys. I can't remember which bloody one it was. It is now. Totally off my game, forgetting about that one. But as far as a big superhero crowd scene battle, I guess you kind of gotta there you go. You got to talk Avengers, JLA Avengers a little bit. Oh yeah, the one. Thank you. That's one. There was another one I wanted to get to, and I'm glad you mentioned Guy Gardner. And I'll get to that in a second. Because Guy Gardner was something I wanted to talk about a little bit. But JLA Avengers, by the time this rolled around, there was one originally planned in the early 80s, and I was so looking forward to that. George Perez. But, Jim Shooter chased him away from Marvel. He only drew like 40, 41 pages or whatever. That original, this, of course, the one you're seeing there was the one he did later. He originally did like 40-something pages. It was in the early 80s, and he went to DC. And Jim Shooter didn't want DC handling the JLA Avengers crossover, so he kind of nixed it. Still, there were 41-something pages. And in 1994, at Dallas Fantasy Fair, true story, I observed, was talking to George Perez. Rob Liefeld comes over there, and I see them. He handed him a bunch of pages, and Liefeld handed him like, I don't know, 20 grand or something like that. Rob Liefeld bought the original pages, all those pages to JLA Avengers that we're never, ever going to see and never going to happen. I got to look at him a little bit. He told me what they were. Perez told us what they were. That they'd made a deal the week before to some other con, and so he handed them the cash for those pages. 20 grand, I believe it was, if I remember right. For the pages of that JLA Avengers crossover that could have been, that should have been. So 20 whatever years later, whatever it was, 10, 15, whatever it was, years later, when they finally went ahead and did the JLA Avengers crossover, and it was Perez. So the art, again, was Perez is good. It was George Perez, my love. But the rosters aggravated me. So, I didn't buy the comic. I was pissed off. I was, at that time, I was buying comics. I was not buying mainstream comics. I was sick of Marvel and DC. They both were shitty to me. So, you know what I did? I didn't buy it. That was a big event. And I looked at it, and I could not stand. Yes, it was Perez art, and I love Perez. I could not stand these rosters, because at the time, I guess it was around, again, late 90s or early, what was it, like 2000, whenever that thing came out. Someone can give me the ballpark year. I can't really remember exactly what it was. At that time, I hated the rosters of both teams. Friggin' hated them. Today, it's not easy to find that thing. So I would, if I could ever find them cheap enough, I'd probably read it. So other than flipping through it every now and then, I never read this comic. I never read it because I was pissed off that Jim Shooter cost us. And when they had shitheads like Kyle Rayner, whom I hate. I hated the JLA lineup at that point. I didn't like anything going on at DC or Marvel at that point, and it just kind of soured me on it. I was one of those who didn't like it, and my boy Mark C didn't agree with me on this. As much as I love a lot of Kurt Busiek's stuff, I wasn't too big into his Avengers run when he went back and did it with Perez. I bought it when the art was good and source it was okay, but I wasn't all that sanguine about it. And it's just so much water had gone under the bridge, though, Phantom Outsider, that, yeah, they brought in all these other characters. And look, I'm just talking about the way I was back then, 20 some odd years ago, whatever, and what I felt back then. I was kind of upset, and I didn't want to buy it, and I didn't. Now, that was when the regular issues were coming out. Now it's expensive to collect all of those. Obviously, they got some big, ridiculous, expensive, I guess, trades and hardcovers and all that kind of thing. Getting the issues probably isn't easy either. But I didn't like the main rosters of the books. At the time, I was really aggravated with mainstream comics. And so I kind of just deprived myself of it. And the story did have, like you say, it had everybody. I mean, see that I hate Quicksilver, by the way, but I can understand him being with Flash. I hated the way the Aquaman looked at the time. I call it silly. I hated it. I hated the stupid Hook Aquaman garbage, Peter David. I hate Kyle Rayner. Hate him. By the way, I like these John Byrne. It's a myth that I hate John Byrne completely. I like a lot of his work. I like these John Byrne hero mashups that he did as commissions and stuff. It's pretty cool stuff right there. Anyway. Red Wolf, yeah. Were the Western Avengers there? Not West Coast, I mean the Western ones. Anyway, so hey, what are you gonna do? Just being a picky bastard. Well, anyway, superhero battles, folks. There's so much more to go through. I just wanted to skim it a little bit and talk about a few of the big ones. And I think at least, we talked a good bit about the big ones. There's my favorite right there. Oh, no. I'll talk Wolverine Hulk. Let's get that Wolverine Hulk up there. Again, it was just, the first appearance of Wolverine and stuff like that. And I'll gladly cover that. I'm sorry, but dude, I just, it never, again, it's a classic for that first appearance of Wolverine, buddy. But you know what? For you, man, badass, anything for you, dude. Get this thing to pull up here. We can do it, man. Oops. Put the wrong search in. Yeah. Because it's something that happened a lot. I never considered it a big rivalry, but it did happen a lot. So even in an animated movie. So this one is for the great badass. Wolverine and Hulk. Hulk. We'll find a good one, though. Got to find one with less modern art, for me, just personally. Yeah. How about a little Herb Trip? Doesn't offend my sensibilities that much. Oh, shit. You know how you guys sometimes talk about how I have and this is still a show I'm planning to do. I've not done it yet. The unpopular opinions show that I plan to do one of these days. One of my unpopular opinions is I'm not much of a Wolverine guy. I've said that before here. I like him. But, hey, I like Timberwolf better, but I'm a Legion of Superheroes guy. What can I tell you? I like him. He's okay. I liked him better when he was with X-Men. I mean, I remember how excited we were when he got his first miniseries, the Chris Claremont, Frank Miller miniseries, 4-issue miniseries. The shop I was running at the time, we made T-shirts of that one for the shop. I mean, we were nuts over that thing, and it was great. Sometimes you got to be careful what you wish for, though. Oh, well, that's good to hear, Phantom Outsider. That's amazing. I loved Herb Trimp. Did any of you ever see this video that would really, since I had to see it, I'm going to piss all you off by telling you about it. Have you ever seen this video with this bitch who went to a con and she was so pissed off at her ex-boyfriend who collected comics and he bought this? Technically issue 180 is considered the first appearance of Wolverine because he has these one panel or whatever, but this is considered largely the first appearance. And this bitch bought multiple copies of this at this con and ripped them. It filmed herself ripping them to shreds. I don't know how many copies she bought. You know how expensive this comic book is. I'm not sure what she paid. I haven't seen the video in a while. This video probably out there somewhere on it, still on YouTube or whatever. To piss off her ex-boyfriend or whatever it is. Now, I don't know. I don't remember much of it, whether it pissed him off or not. Remember, back then, comics had high print runs. But still, she destroyed, I don't know how many copies of this thing. And did it at a con, if I remember right. Eric K. You can't press my buttons that easy, buddy, but it was a nice try, though. By the way, did you all know that there are 2 animated Hulk thing fights? There was an animated short feature that had 2 shorts. You all remembered, I'm sure. It used to run on Netflix, probably still on there. They had a Hulk Thor and a Hulk Wolverine one. Yeah, it was a bitch. It was a dumb thing to do, badass. It's just her being a bitch. I mean, hey, if you want to throw your money away on something that stupid, what can you do? Oh shit! But I thought this was kind of okay. I like the animated Thor, Hulk Thor. Nah, she was a Karen, all right. It's pretty crappy. And the animated Hulk Wolverine, I thought they were pretty good. I think Deadpool's in that Wolverine one, right? Anyway. But on the cartoon, Wolverine and the X-Men, they did a very similar version of the story, if I remember right. Which was that, wasn't too bad. Wasn't too bad. So, anyway. Well, I guess we talked about a few superhero battles. You guys mentioned some. There are a lot of other ones. I think we covered maybe the biggest ones. I would think we did anyway. Oh yeah, she was just a total biatch. So yeah, she really showed him spending her money destroying those comics. And there's the thing. Hey, I mean, I don't know if she did it to his comics or not. She probably did. She probably destroyed a bunch of his crap too. If you're doing that, you're nut. She's a nut. Anyway. So anyway, everyone, man, I just appreciate everybody hanging out with me tonight. I enjoyed it. Just get a little reminiscing over a few superhero battles. I always like that sort of thing. I mean, if you're, let's see. Oh, you know what? I forgot one. I can't believe I forgot one. I forgot an important one. I forgot a crucial one. Before I end, I'm gonna talk about one more real quick. Because I want to see if any of you are familiar with this comic. I'm kind of cheating because these are not well-known characters, but it's the ultimate parody of these comics. So in the mid 1980s, there was a comic book artist named Scott McCloud who did a book called Zot, which I enjoyed. And he also did this great parody of superhero battles called The Loudest Comic in the Universe, Destroy. Anyone read Destroy? Is anyone familiar with Destroy? Anybody? Just curious. I love this comic. It's bigger than it's actually a little bit bigger than Treasury size. It's black and white. And it is basically, as you can see here, just a big superhero fight. Two big, ridiculous superheroes, archetypes, beating the crap out of each other. That's what Eclipse printed this thing. It's pretty expensive now. Again, Mark C kind of made me think about it because a few months ago, before he passed, unfortunately, he'd learned about it, and he'd learned something about it, and he asked me about it, and I told him how much I liked it, and he said he was trying to find it, but he was trying to snag it cheap. You can't find this thing cheap anywhere. And it's just basically, I don't know how many pages of completely ridiculous. It's a parody of superheroes fighting each other. Because two big muscle-bound superheroes beating the crap out of each other for no good reason, destroying the city. And since you may never actually be able to find it, this has a punchline. I guess maybe it's one of those you had to be there. But it's great. I mean, again, he really. I like Zot. I like the book he did called Zot. He does this in a very fun, Kirby-ish looking style. Which is kind of cool. As you can see, some of the art here. This one superhero is pissed off at another. And he's just so mad he keeps yelling, destroy. It's the name of the comic. And as you may be able to see from some of the pics here, they're wrecking everything. Fighting, slugging it out. The loudest comic book in the universe. Fabulous first issue. Parents aware this comic book is... I can't read the thing. It's so long. I have it somewhere. It's really great. It's just ridiculous, but it's fun. Yeah, I'm sorry about the bumping noises there, Canadian Spider-Man. I'm going to have to reach up to my... to type in something, I have to do that. But I guess I should be more aware of it. But because I have a setup where my keyboard's far away from me. I appreciate the info on that. Anyway, I love Destroy, and by the end of this. It's ridiculous comic book. It's just a bunch of pages of two Dumbasses beating the crap out of each other, and they're both superheroes. All because one thought the other stole his girl, it turns out. And by the time he finally, Captain Maximum or whatever, really gets pissed off and just has had enough of getting pounded all over the place because he's trying to talk some sense into the guy. He just finally has enough and accidentally cuts loose on him. Yes, I'm spoiling it, everyone. It's a 35-year-old comic book. And he knocks him all the way to the moon. The other guy. The guy is going nuts. And so the guy flies back down, and they have this big dust up, and finally, after the city's all destroyed, he finally comes to his senses, and they start basically, oh, wow, I just don't know what came over me. They're so, yeah, oh, wow, well, oops. And then they walk about, like a lot of superhero battles, they walk up, away being pals again. And then the last panel, and again, the city is in ruins. The city has been destroyed. It is wiped out. I mean, it's as you can see, it's just crumbling all over the place. And the commissioner, a Commissioner Gordon type of guy or whatever, and his daughter is standing there talking about, but look at all this destruction. Look at all this devastation. And then comes the punchline, the last line of the comic book from the commissioner type guy. He says, well, at least nobody got hurt. There's just, and again, like I said, you had to be there because if you read the comic, but because we all just loved that thing and thought it was so damn hilarious at the time, and I still think it is. Sorry, because again, reading the comic, there's a little more impact to it, if you pardon the pun. But it became a saying amongst my friends and I, because we all read that comic. I sold it to a lot of people, and everyone was like, whenever something crappy would happen, whatever, we would make the joke, well, at least nobody got hurt. So I think that big parody of a superhero battle was something in these superhero battles on, because yes, these, with Invincible out right now and superheroes battles being portrayed more realistically in the sense that they're bloody and they're messy and people do get hurt. This was a wonderful parody of that crazy idea that people can have these super beings destroying everything in a fight and not really affecting anyone around them. So, show notes, everyone, if you're still here. I'll be on Loki's Roundtable tomorrow night, comic book roundtable. I don't know what we're talking about. We'll talk about something. I'm not even sure whose channel that's on, but I'll put out the info on it. That's at 7 Central Time with Loki and the gang. Looking forward to that. Always love that. Wednesday night, same bat time, same bat channel. I will be back here with the great Flash, my good buddy Carrie Fisher. We will be talking about Godzilla versus King Kong. We will be doing a little tete-a-tete there, a little review of it, and talk about what we think about that film, that new film. It's enough time's gone on there. If you haven't seen it yet, it'll be spoilery. We're going to go ahead and spoil the whole thing. But again, it's been, a good long enough now. If anyone interested in seeing it probably has, we hope. So we'll be doing that. Then, of course, Thursday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, the Global Geek Gang will assemble. No big topic this week. I really enjoyed the past 2 weeks with our Green Lantern 1 and 2 episodes. And we were joined, of course, just again, so honored to have been joined by the great Robert Meyer Burnett a couple weeks ago. Last Thursday. And but it'll be just a kind of a global geek gang hanging out, just geeking out together. We'll think of something. All kind of cool stuff to talk about with the great Jed and Ash and Retro and stuff. Anyway, Saturday night, of course, back here for Saturday Night Star Trek with the wonderful Raquel Briggs. It's going to get rough from here on out, folks. This week we have the last two of the second season of the original series, and then the first 2 of the 3rd season. God help us all. And so I want to say big thank yous to all the fantastic friends who came here tonight. Of course, we had the wonderful Purple Valkyrie. I know she's got to be asleep by now. It's so late there. I love you, Purple, but I'm still shout out anyway. The extraordinary Phantom Outsider was here. And I appreciate you, Phantom Outsider. It's just great to have you, buddy. The great Steve Mitchum is always here, my great friend. Hey, buddy. Always appreciate you, man. The Masters of Wrench, the great Eric K. and the great Chris Persia. Appreciate you both. Thank you, man. It's always an honor to have you here, my friends. The great Pat S. Good buddy. The great Canadian Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Please forgive me for if I butcher this name, but Kog Pan, of course. I'm sorry. I'll get you to give me the proper pronunciation of that one day, Kog. But I appreciate you. I know you said you rewound to listen back, so we do appreciate you so much. Jobber was here. Just Joe. 47 was here. Appreciate you, brother. Dave Rayburn, cuz always a pleasure, bub. The great Dr. Q Monkey. They're gone now, but the wonderful Mark's Little Sis and Lisa P were here. Those lovely ladies were here, and I appreciate them very much. Yeah, I'm not triggerable tonight, but you just keep trying, Eric. Dude, that's just an old one with me now, so you know what I'm saying? Rod Thunderheart, of course, my good bud. Thank you, sir, for being here. Appreciate you, man. I can't remember everyone who popped in because I didn't write it down this time. I hope I got everybody. Canadian Spider-Man, who does whatever a Canadian Spider-Man can, was here. Of course, is still here, in fact. Canadian Spider-Man, I always appreciate you, buddy. But anyone, if I happen to have missed you or whatever, if you're out there listening on a re-download, I'm sorry about that. Just again, my memory, you know how it is. So, again, thank you all so much. Tomorrow night on Loki and many shows to come on Clobberin Times. Appreciate you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a great, great night, my friends, and I will see you back here. Later. Shout out to Mark D with the C also.